Hey everybody, Black Ninja 797 here, welcome back to another video, and today's video I am reacting to your Left 4 Dead 2 hot takes. This is a video series where I give you guys a platform to voice your thoughts and opinions about the Left 4 Dead 2 universe. If you guys want to participate in this series within the next episode, you can end up leaving a hot take down below in the comments, or also alternatively, you can leave them within my Discord server, which will be linked down below in this video's description. If you guys end up enjoying the video, please drop a like, subscribe if you are new, and let's read some Left 4 Dead 2 hot takes. People shouldn't listen to any try-hard competitive players for game balance. This game isn't just about versus. So I picked this comment for a variety of different reasons, and all those reasons come down to a core theme, and that's about basically biased opinions. I think it's a good rule of thumb in general that not just in versus or Left 4 Dead 2, but in all games, and all game modes rather, that you should be very careful with your balancing of your weaponry, or just balancing and nerfing and buffing of things in general, because what happens is that if you end up nerfing or buffing something, it typically has a ripple effect and affects more than one game mode. So unless you can end up nerfing and buffing things separately across different game modes, if you only play one game mode within a franchise, you shouldn't try to end up pushing that change into the other game modes when you don't know how it's going to affect those modes. So for example, a versus player should not be saying what to do for gun balance when it could possibly affect all the other modes, and same thing vice versa. As a single player guy, and predominantly a PvE Left 4 Dead guy, I wouldn't try to force a change upon versus players. I think that the changes should just be done separately. So for example, when I ended up having a opinion on a certain comment that I got for the last Hot Takes episode, it was one that kind of ruffled some feathers, because what happened was that the hot take that I'm referring to from the last episode was along the lines of removing the military sniper and the AK-47 from the game because they're too overpowered, and I said, and I'm just paraphrasing here, this isn't verbatim, I said something along the lines of, why would you nerf something within a PvE game, because that basically doesn't make any sense to me. And I said that from perspective of, why would you nerf something in the single player, because, you know, the bots, they're not going to, you know, curse you out and call you a whole bunch of names for just killing them too quickly. That really only would apply in versus. And in my mind, I knew what I was saying, and I was thinking of versus and the PvP game modes separately. That statement was not meant to also apply to the versus players, and some people thought that I was saying it with implying versus and the other PvP modes, and I was not. So this is the way I look at it, long story short, in summary. I think that if you tweak something within a game and it affects every single game mode, you must walk a fine line, and you must take everything with a grain of salt, because you never know how one little micro change might have a ripple effect on everything. You need to be very, very careful and make sure that even the slightest change does not cause a complete and utter switch, and the dynamic of the game is flipped on its head, and everyone has to play differently because of somebody saying something about one different opinion versus another. Survival mode is underrated. Survival mode is challenging and fun, and I feel like many players do not give it a chance. Most players prefer to stick with campaign or versus. I 100% agree with this. I do believe too that survival is a underrated game mode, and not a lot of people give it a chance. I had so much fun when they introduced some of the new achievements within the Last Stand update for survival. Going for achievements like Killing Spree was some of the best fun that I have ever had within Left 4 Dead in recent memory. I was able to end up meeting a whole bunch of new people, I was able to have a whole bunch of fun and replayability with the game, which I had not had for a long time, because before the Last Stand update, I took a massive break from Left 4 Dead, like almost 10 years worth, because I moved on to other games. When the Last Stand update came out, a majority of my time was spent in survival. The chaotic nature and the sandbox elements where it's just all or nothing, you have everything given to you and you're going up against every special infected under the sun, is just a pure adrenaline rush that I just love. The game does not have enough guns. The gun selection, even with the source ones, are very disappointing. Now, I don't exactly agree with this, but that's fine, because the whole point of the series is to have an unpopular opinion or a hot take, so I wanted to include this within the video, because I do believe that a lot of people will agree with me when I say that I don't really have a problem with the gun selection within this game. When I go into Whitaker's gun store, for example, I feel like I have plenty of variety when it comes to the guns. Really, the only ones that I could really want more variety in is the pistols and then the SMGs, because 3 SMGs are not really a lot, and they are kind of weak because there's really no tier 2 SMG exactly. And there's really only just the starting pistols and the Magnum. It'd be nice if we could get like a revolver, or if we could bring the M1911 back. That would be really fun, because then we could have some pistol variety as well. I just really think other than that, though, I really have not noticed this problem, and it doesn't really bother me that much. I'll be honest, the MP5 is probably one of the best weapons in the entire game when you or when you don't apply laser sights on them. One-shot potential, crazy ammo count. The only issue is it's rare, and the original model isn't too good, but a CSGO ported version of the weapon, the MP5 would go crazy. I like the MP5 as well, but I don't think it's the best gun or one of the best guns in the game. That definitely is a hot take. I think that there's plenty of guns that are better than the MP5. But the MP5 is definitely one of the better tier 1 guns. In fact, I think that it's just good enough that it could be a tier 2 gun, one of the lower tier 2 guns, but it would make it so that way that there is now a tier 2 level SMG, because I feel like Valve and the Last Stand devs didn't really value the MP5 as much as somebody like me or you would, because you can get it even as early as the spawn. And it's a little bit more common than I think you're thinking it is, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that is a bad thing. I know people probably don't ever play on easy difficulty, but I think that the witch should not be able to down you in 1 hit. Maybe 2 hits on easy. That's just me. I don't have a problem with the 1 hit though. You know, honestly, this is a very fair point. I could totally end up seeing this change being accepted, because the witch is really not meant to end up being that crazy and easy anyway. I have always viewed easy mode as a tutorial mode in some capacity. It is ridiculously easy within that game mode, but the witch was the one outlier within that game mode. It was kind of surprising, even back in the day, that for the relatively pretty laid back game mode, that there is a thing that can basically one-shot you, and that always seemed strange to me. So maybe having it where it does take 2 shots for it to fully kill you would make more sense. Maybe easy mode can be the exact opposite of expert mode, where it's its mirror. So in expert mode, if it takes 1 shot to not only down but also kill you, they should make it where the witch is a little bit weaker in easy mode and make it so that way it takes like 1 or 2 shots to be able to even simply down a player. And I feel like that normal and advanced can just stay the way they are. Tier 1 weapons are more fun to use than tier 2 or 3 ones. I really wish that you would have listed the guns that you were thinking of when you wrote this comment, because it makes me wonder what guns you were thinking of. Personally, for me, the only tier 1 gun that I like to use that much that I would say it competes with the tier 2 guns is like the chrome shotgun, but that's like the only one that comes to mind. Otherwise, I prefer the tier 2 guns. My hot take is not a big one, but we need the complete stories from Ellis. Dude, there are so many Ellis stories that have loose ends or cliffhangers to them. I really want to know the end of those stories too, my man. If there is ever a Left 4 Dead 3, it should never bring back the Left 4 Dead 1 or Left 4 Dead 2 maps. My first reason why I think this would be a bad idea is because Left 4 Dead 3 would most likely have super evolved gameplay and would most likely have new guns, special infected, etc. The game would likely release around 20 years after Left 4 Dead 2. Actors age, and so do their voice, so new voice lines mixed with the older ones would sound odd and out of place, and re-recording the classic lines may completely lose the charm and emotion of the original ones. Not to mention, Jim French sadly passed away. Even if AI becomes so advanced that it can replicate an actor's voice on a 1-to-1 scale, I would still be against it due to it cheating the old actors out of their royalties. Left 4 Dead 3 should be its own game and not rehash old ideas for the sake of nostalgia. So there's a lot to this comment, so let's talk about it. So when it comes to the Left 4 Dead 1 maps and Left 4 Dead 2 maps not coming back, that's definitely an unpopular opinion, but I see where you are coming from with what you said. Because yes, it is true, the game would be probably around 20 years apart from any given sequel. It would also mean that the voice actors would either not be able to replicate their voice lines with the same feel, or unfortunately not at all, because as you say, some people, like Jim French, have unfortunately passed away, and even though you could probably very easily replicate his voice with the power of AI, That just doesn't seem like the right moral thing to do. Now that's one half of the coin there, but let's look at also the other half of the coin, because we gotta look at both. So let's say, hypothetically speaking, Valve ends up including the Left 4 Dead 1 and Left 4 Dead 2 maps, and they work not only good, but better than intended. They mesh very well within the game. And you also get all the old voice actors to return and redo their lines, and they sound even better than they did before. And let's say that lastly, if you're worried about something, let's say Jim Frenchen having his voice lines either not sounding as good because of the old ones, or you're worried about the royalties not going to his friends or family, let's just say that the friends and the family do give their permission for Valve to use AI to replicate his voice, or they end up having it where they just reuse the old voice lines and figure out a way to make them sound better without having to completely redo them themselves. The only thing that really seems to be a potential issue here is just about keeping one game more popular than the other, because what happens is that if you end up bringing everything over to Left 4 Dead 3, regardless if it's good or bad, it would all be on one application. But, however, if you keep them separate, you would have to have two applications, and that could be both good and or bad. If everything is on Left 4 Dead 3, some people might think to themselves, what's the point of ever going back to buy or play the original Left 4 Dead 1 and 2? But if you keep them separate and the Left 4 Dead 3 only content sucks, people might not even bother to play the game. But if you end up having Left 4 Dead 1 or Left 4 Dead 2 content within Left 4 Dead 3, even if the Left 4 Dead 3 content doesn't do well, people will still play the Left 4 Dead 3 application, and you end up having your numbers be inflated and sales increase that way. As time goes on, I feel like Left 4 Dead 3 gets less and less likely and harder to pull off because of a variety of different things, mostly expectations, but also this as well. I do truly hope that Left 4 Dead 3 can come out one day and we can bring back all the old content as well. I hope that Valve will end up being able to execute that as well, so that way people don't reject it or end up bashing it. But we just have to wait and see. That would just have to be something that we could only end up giving our true opinion once it actually happens. So yeah, guys, that is it here for today's video, and I do truly hope you guys ended up enjoying it. If you did, please consider dropping a like, comment, subscribe, follow, and all that beautiful stuff. And if you have a hot take of your very own that you would like to have us feature in the next episode, please leave it here in the comments down below, or you can also leave within my Discord server, which is going to be linked down below in this video's description. And with all that being said, guys, I hope you end up enjoying seeing another YouTube video from the most neat YouTubers are ever going to see. Thanks for watching, guys. I love all of you, and peace out.
Hey, meme lords. Jesus here. And you better have enjoyed that video there by the eternal god Daddy Ninja. You should probably subscribe too, or the mighty Moab will come for your balls. If you enjoyed the video, you might like it too. And give me the memes. Flash, bang, boom!